Why do you still watch movies with other people? Most viewers ruin great films by breathing too loud or asking stupid questions. Solo cinema changes everything. No judgment, no distractions, just you and the story. These 20 Hollywood masterpieces demand isolation in 2026. Some will twist your brain, others will crack your soul. But every single one hits harder when you are alone. Let the countdown begin. Number 20. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986. Kicking off our list at number 20 is a movie that screams solo rebellion. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. John Hughes gave us this 1986 miracle of fake coughs and parade floats. Why watch it alone? Because you need to laugh without anyone judging your terrible Chicago accent. Ferris breaks the fourth wall constantly. He talks to you. Not to your couch buddy, not to your snacking friend, to you. That connection disappears in a group setting. Alone, you fully absorb every mischievous wink. The Ferrari destruction hits like a gut punch when no one else is there to soften it. The twist and shout sequence becomes your private dance party. Plus, watching alone means you can rewind the Sloane kiss scene 7 times. No explanations needed. This mood booster holds an 85% RT score for a reason. In 2026, streaming services still carry this gem because it teaches a vital lesson. Sometimes playing hooky from life works best without witnesses. You will smile. You might cheer. And no one will ever know. Number 19. The Princess Bride, 1987. Number 19 delivers a fairy tale that demands solitude for full effect. The Princess Bride. Rob Reiner directed this 1987 impossible miracle of swordsmanship and true love. Its RT score sits at 93%. Its IMDb holds at 8.0. But those numbers lie about the solo experience. When you watch this movie alone, something magical happens. The grandfather-grandson framing device becomes your personal story. You are the sick kid in bed, and the story belongs only to you. Westley saying, "As you wish," hits different without someone sighing next to you. Inigo Montoya's revenge speech needs your full attention to land properly. The fire swamp terrifies exactly one person, you. And that clifftop sword fight? A private ballet of wit and steel. Watching alone also lets you quote every single line out loud. Inconceivable! Go ahead, shout it, no shame. The ROUS jokes land harder in silence. In 2026, this remains a perfect watch-alone choice because it balances comedy, romance, and adventure without ever feeling crowded. You will laugh openly. You might even tear up during the reunion. No witnesses equals pure freedom. Number 18. Little Miss Sunshine, 2006. Prepare for a mood booster that works best without an audience. Little Miss Sunshine. Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris directed this 2006 indie explosion of family dysfunction and yellow buses. The RT score reads 91%. But here is the solo secret. This movie feels like a hug and a punch at the same time. Alone, you can process both. The Hoover family's cross-country disaster becomes your private therapy session. When Olive performs her grandfather's choreography, you will cringe and cheer without performing a social reaction. When Frank discusses Proust, you can pause to Google who that is. No judgment. When the van's horn gets stuck, you will laugh your real laugh. Not the polite group laugh, the real one. The final pageant scene breaks your heart and rebuilds it. Alone, that emotional whiplash transforms you. You might cry ugly tears during the dance. You might scream at the beauty pageant judges. Nobody will record your breakdown. That is the watch-alone gift. In 2026, this movie remains essential because it proves that broken families make the best stories. And you need zero distractions to feel every single beat. Trust me on this one. Number 17. Groundhog Day, 1993. What if I told you the same day repeating forever is a solo viewer's dream? Groundhog Day. Harold Ramis gave us this 1993 philosophical comedy wrapped in a weatherman's nightmare. Its RT score blazes at 94%, but watching this with other people ruins the slow burn. Phil Connors wakes up to "I Got You, Babe" again and again. Alone, you track his despair without someone making popcorn noises. You see his suicide attempts hit differently when no one laughs awkwardly. You watch him learn piano with a focus that demands silence. The romance with Rita works better solo because you become the lonely protagonist. You want him to succeed. You feel his centuries of isolation. When he finally saves the falling boy and fixes the tire and catches the old man's hat, you might cry. Because alone, you realize the movie is not about comedy. It is about becoming a good person through infinite repetition. The groundhog prediction scene becomes triumphant when you are not sharing the moment. In 2026, this film streams everywhere because it ages like fine wine. Watch it alone, then watch it again tomorrow. That is the joke. Number 16. Titanic, 1997. You think you know Titanic. Watch it alone and discover the real tragedy. James Cameron's 1997 epic holds an IMDb 8.0 and a Metascore of 75, but those numbers ignore the solo gut punch. When Jack and Rose stand at the bow with arms spread wide, you normally share that moment with someone. That someone talks. That someone ruins it. Alone, the wind hits only you. The sinking sequence becomes unbearable without friends to hide behind. Every frozen body in the water belongs to your nightmares now. No one jokes about door sizes. No one breaks the tension. Rose letting go of Jack's hand happens in complete silence. That silence destroys you properly. The elderly couple on the bed becomes a private tragedy. The band playing Nearer My God to Thee stabs your chest without distraction. And the final dream sequence where Rose returns to the grand staircase? Alone, you sob freely. No embarrassed coughs, no awkward pats on the back. Just you and James Cameron's insane commitment to heartbreak. In 2026, Titanic remains available because it is the ultimate emotional test. Pass it alone, or do not bother watching at all. Number 15. Before Sunrise, 1995. Before Sunrise seems romantic. Watch it alone and something shifts completely. Richard Linklater's 1995 masterpiece of Walking and Talking carries an IMDb 8.1 and a Metascore 79. But the solo experience turns this love story into a meditation on connection itself. Jesse and Celine wander Vienna through the night. Their conversation covers everything from reincarnation to childhood trauma. When you watch alone, you stop comparing their chemistry to your own relationships. You simply listen. The listening booth scene, where they sneak glances at each other, becomes unbearable in the best way. The cemetery conversation about the young girl hits your chest without warning. The palm reading scene feels less like magic and more like fate when no one is there to roll their eyes. And that ending, the empty train platform, the agreement to meet again in 6 months, alone, you feel every ounce of hope and sadness simultaneously. You cannot turn to someone and say, "That was beautiful." You just sit there. The silence after the credits is the real movie. In 2026, this film stays on streaming because some stories demand you face your own loneliness. And that is not sad. That is honest. Number 14. The Irishman, 2019. Martin Scorsese made a 3.5-hour epic. You need zero interruptions for this one. The Irishman from 2019 holds a 95% RT score and an IMDb 7.8, but those numbers cannot capture the solo endurance test. Frank Sheeran walks through decades of loyalty murder and regret. Robert De Niro's digital de-aging does not matter. What matters is the silence around you. Alone, you feel every hour passing. The road trip to kill Jimmy Hoffa becomes a meditation on male friendship and betrayal. The nursing home scenes where Frank confesses to the priest happen in your living room with no buffer. The final shot of Frank leaving the door open? That image stays with you for days. Watching this with other people invites bathroom breaks and phone checks and whispered questions about who is who. Alone, you surrender to Scorsese's rhythm. You notice the elderly makeup. You see the tragedy of a man who outlived everyone he loved. The "I heard you paint houses" line lands differently without someone laughing. In 2026, this film demands a solo viewing because it is not entertainment. It is an experience. And experiences need your full damn attention. Number 13. Uncut Gems, 2019. Uncut Gems will give you a heart attack. Alone, that anxiety is pure gold. The Safdie brothers unleashed this 2019 nightmare of New York diamonds and basketball bets. Its Metascore hits an incredible 93. Its IMDb sits at 7.4. But those numbers lie about the physical toll. Howard Ratner owes money to everyone. His phone never stops buzzing. His decisions get worse every minute. Watching this movie alone means your heart rate climbs without a friend to say, it is just a movie. You cannot hide behind someone's shoulder. The opal mining opening sequence hooks you immediately. Then, the panic never stops. The final bet on Kevin Garnett's game becomes the most stressful 20 minutes in cinema history. When the ending arrives, you will gasp. You might scream. You will definitely rewind to confirm what you saw. Alone, that shock belongs only to you. No one ruins it by guessing the twist. No one talks during the silent credits. Your hands will shake. Your breathing will be loud. That is the point. In 2026, this film stays essential because it proves that anxiety can be art, but only if you watch it solo. Trust me on this one. Your friends do not need to see you sweat. Number 12. Blade Runner, 2049, 2017. Denis Villeneuve's sequel demands a dark room and no one asking questions. Blade Runner 2049 from 2017 holds an IMDb 8.0 and a Metascore 81. But the solo experience transforms this slow-burn epic into a religious ritual. Officer K walks through a desolate future. His joy hologram glows. His memories may be fake. The original film's legacy hangs over everything. Watching this with other people invites complaints about the runtime, about the pacing, about why Harrison Ford shows up so late. Alone, you sink into Roger Deakins' cinematography. Every orange dust cloud, every neon-lit street, every rain-soaked window. The seawall fight becomes a meditation on loneliness when no one interrupts. The giant Joy hologram scene where she calls Kay by the wrong name? That heartbreak needs silence to land. The final shot of Kay lying in the snow with his hand catching flakes happens only for you. No one asks, is he dead? You just sit there. In 2026, this film streams because some movies are churches. You enter alone, you reflect alone, you leave changed. That is the watch alone promise. Number 11. Nightcrawler, 2014. Nightcrawler makes you uncomfortable. That discomfort doubles when you are solo. Dan Gilroy's 2014 thriller features Jake Gyllenhaal's most disturbing performance. Its IMDb holds at 7.8. Its Metascore sits at 76. Lou Bloom hunts car accidents and home invasions for news footage. He smiles like a reptile. He speaks in self-help platitudes that hide a complete emptiness. Watching this movie alone means you cannot laugh nervously with friends to break the tension. The first crash scene where Lou moves the bodies for better lighting forces you to confront your own morality. No one says, that is messed up, to make it easier. You just watch. The restaurant scene where Lou negotiates with Rene Russo feels like a predator stalking prey. Alone, you feel every manipulation. The final chase through LA streets becomes unbearable because you realize Lou will win. He always wins. That smiling reflection in the TV monitor at the end, that is pure evil. And you saw it alone. No buffer, no commentary, just you and Gyllenhaal's hollow eyes. In 2026, this film remains a watch-alone essential because it asks a terrible question. How much of Lou Bloom lives inside you? That question hits harder without an audience. Number 10. Drive 2011. Number 10 brings the quietest killer in Hollywood history. Drive. Nicholas Winding Refn's 2011 Neon Nightmare holds an IMDb 7.8 and a Metascore 79. But the solo experience reveals what most people miss entirely. The driver barely speaks. He stares. He drives. He falls for his neighbor, Carey Mulligan. Then the violence explodes without warning. Watching this film with other people feels wrong because they keep talking. They ask why he is not talking. They miss the point entirely. Alone, you hear every synth wave from Cliff Martinez's score. You feel the elevator kiss morph into a stomping murder. That scene where Ryan Gosling puts the mask on? Alone, your stomach drops because there is no one to hide behind. The scorpion jacket becomes a character. The toothpick chewing becomes a threat. The final shot of the driver bleeding into the night with his quiet smile belongs only to you. No one ruins it by saying, "That was slow." No one checks their phone during the 20-minute silent opening. In 2026, Drive stays on streaming because it is a meditation on masculinity and violence. You cannot meditate in a crowd. You need silence. You need solitude. You need to watch this movie alone, with the lights off and the volume loud. That is not a recommendation. That is a requirement. Number 9. Annihilation, 2018. Annihilation. Alex Garland's 2018 sci-fi horror masterpiece holds an 88% RT score, but those who watched it with friends missed everything. The shimmer spreads through the swamp like a fever dream. Natalie Portman's biologist enters a zone where DNA breaks and reforms. Animals speak with human voices. Bears scream with stolen throats. Watching this movie alone means every disturbing image lands without a safety net. The bear scene, where it mimics the dying soldier's voice, alone, that horror becomes existential. You cannot look away. You also cannot turn to someone for comfort. The flower people growing out of the pool floor, the crystal trees, the mutated alligator with shark teeth, all of it belongs only to you. The final lighthouse sequence, where the alien mimics every movement, becomes a mirror. Alone, you see yourself reflected in that metallic creature. The question Garland asks is not about survival, it is about self-destruction. Why do we keep walking into the shimmer? Why do we want to change? The ending, where she merges with the alien and the glass of water moves by itself, that will haunt your dreams. In 2026, this film demands a solo viewing, because some terrors cannot be shared. You must face them alone, just like the biologist did, just like you will. Number 8. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Michel Gondry's 2004 heart-wrenching puzzle holds a 93% RT score, but watching this with someone you love is a mistake. Watching it alone is the only correct choice. Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet erase each other from memory. The story folds backward and forward through time. Joel's childhood shame, Clementine's orange hair, the beach house crumbling. The scene where they run through collapsing memories together destroys you. Alone, you cannot deflect that destruction onto a partner. You must sit with every uncomfortable truth about love. Love is not perfect. Love is messy. Love is erasing someone, then running back to find them. The movie's core question haunts solo viewers hardest. Would you choose the same painful relationship again, knowing how it ends? The final scene, where they listen to their own tapes of resentment, then laugh anyway, breaks something in your chest. No one sees your face crumble. No one hands you a tissue. That is good. That is real. In 2026, this film remains essential because it proves that memory and identity are fragile, and fragile things demand your full attention. No distractions, no shared glances, just you and Gondry's beautiful, broken masterpiece. Number 7. Zodiac, 2007. Zodiac. David Fincher's 2007 obsessive true crime epic holds a 90% RT score and an IMDb 7.7. It appears on both IMDb and RT lists for good reason, but the solo experience turns this procedural into a mental prison. Jake Gyllenhaal's Robert Graysmith loses everything: his marriage, his safety, his sanity, all to solve a case that never closes. Watching this film alone means you follow every code, every cipher, every suspicious suspect. The basement scene where Graysmith meets the cinema owner? Alone, that tension becomes unbearable because no one breaks the silence. The lake murder sequence where the couple gets tied up takes on new horror without friends to soften it. Fincher's cold, digital photography makes 1970s San Francisco feel haunted. The scene where Mark Ruffalo's detective realizes the handwriting matches? Your heart races alone. The final "I need to see his eyes" confrontation happens in complete quiet. And the epilogue, where the real Arthur Lee Allen dies unsolved? That frustration belongs only to you. In 2026, Zodiac demands a solo watch because it is not about answers. It is about obsession. Obsession is lonely. Your viewing experience should match that loneliness perfectly. Number 6. The Terminator, 1984. The Terminator. Before James Cameron made blue aliens and sinking ships, he made a nightmare. This 1984 sci-fi slasher holds an IMDb 8.1 and a Metascore 84. But most people remember the sequel, the fun one, the one with catchphrases. Watch the original alone and discover real terror. Arnold Schwarzenegger barely speaks. He just walks and kills and walks again. The police station massacre scene where he fires a shotgun with one hand. Alone, that moment shocks you because there is no T-800 catchphrase to relieve tension. No "I'll be back" joke. Just brutal efficiency. Kyle Reese's description of the future war becomes more desperate without someone whispering, "That is cool." The stop-motion ending where the Terminator crawls after Sarah Connor on half a body. Alone, that practical effect becomes deeply unsettling. Not funny, not dated, unsettling. The final line where Sarah drives toward a storm in Mexico, she says, "A storm is coming." Alone, you feel the weight of that prophecy. No one says, "Bring on the sequel." You just sit there. In 2026, this film remains a watch-alone essential because it is a horror movie disguised as action. Horror works best in solitude. Turn off the lights. Do not check your phone. Let the machine hunt you alone. Number 5. Blade Runner, 1982. Blade Runner. The original 1982 dystopian noir from Ridley Scott holds an IMDb 8.1 and a Metascore 84. But the theatrical cut ruined everything. You need the final cut. And you need to watch it alone. Harrison Ford's Deckard hunts replicants through rain-soaked Los Angeles. Vangelis's synth score floats like smoke. The opening shot of the city breathing fire, alone you see every detail. The snake-scale close-up, the origami unicorn. Roy Batty's white dove speech about tears in rain happens without anyone sniffing loudly. That speech is cinema's greatest meditation on mortality, and it belongs to solo viewers, because alone you realize Deckard might be a replicant too. The evidence sits in every cut. The glowing eyes, the unicorn dream, the final elevator door closing. Watching this with other people leads to arguments. He is human. No, he is not. Those arguments ruin the mystery. Alone, you live inside the mystery. You accept not knowing. The 2026 streaming versions all include the final cut. Lock your door, turn off your phone. Let Los Angeles 2019 consume you completely. You will leave the movie changed, and no one will ask you how. Number 4. Taxi Driver, 1976. Taxi Driver. You talking to me? Martin Scorsese's 1976 masterpiece holds an IMDb 8.2 and a Metascore 94. But that famous mirror scene has been parodied to death. Watching this movie alone strips away every joke. Robert De Niro's Travis Bickle is not cool. He is not an anti-hero. He is a lonely man decaying in real time. The taxi drives through New York's filthy streets. Travis writes in his diary. He takes Betsy to a porn movie, then cannot understand why she leaves. Alone, you feel his confusion without a group to laugh at it. The assassination attempt, the pimp murder, the bloody final shot where Travis smiles at his mirror again. Alone, that smile terrifies you because you realize the cycle never ends. He will kill again. The movie does not celebrate violence. It diagnoses a sickness, America's sickness. Loneliness turned into rage. Watching this with friends makes you perform a reaction. You laugh at the awkward dates. You cheer the bloody climax. Alone, you cannot perform. You just watch. And you realize Travis Bickle is not a hero. He is a warning. In 2026, Taxi Driver remains essential solo viewing because some warnings need silence. Turn off your phone. Turn off your lights. Let the taxi drive you into darkness alone. Number 3. Memento 2000. Memento. Christopher Nolan's 2000 backward masterpiece holds an RT score of 93%. But do not watch this with anyone. They will ask questions. You will get annoyed. The movie plays in reverse. Leonard Shelby cannot make new memories. He tattoos clues on his body. He takes Polaroids. He hunts his wife's killer again and again. Watching this movie alone means you experience Leonard's confusion firsthand. Each scene reveals what happened before. The black and white sequences run forward, the color sequences run backward. When they meet at the end, you realize Leonard has been lying to himself. The Teddy reveal, where you learn the truth about Sammy Jankis. Alone, that twist shatters you because no one warns you. No one says, wait for it. You simply sit there with your mouth open. The final scene where Leonard burns the photo of Teddy? That happens in reverse order. Alone, you piece together the tragedy. Leonard chose to lie to himself. He chose to keep killing. The movie asks if truth matters when happiness is a lie. That question needs solitude. In 2026, Memento streams everywhere because it is a puzzle box. Puzzles are solved alone. Invite no one. Pause if you need to, rewind if you get lost, but do not watch this with a partner. You will hate them, and you might be right. Number 2. Fight Club, 1999. Fight Club. The first rule of Watch Alone Club is you do not watch with friends. David Fincher's 1999 adaptation holds an IMDb 8.8, but the mainstream misunderstood it completely. Brad Pitt's Tyler Durden is not a hero. Edward Norton's narrator is not cool. The movie is a warning about toxic masculinity and consumer culture. Watching this alone lets you see the clues. The single frames of Tyler before the reveal. The hotel room conversation about Marla. The "Where is my mind" soundtrack moment when everything clicks. The final scene where buildings fall and the narrator holds Marla's hand. Alone you realize Tyler was never real. He was a coping mechanism for a man who hated his apartment and his job and his IKEA furniture. Watching with a group leads to cheering. Yeah, destroy the credit card companies. That cheering misses the point. The movie criticizes that violence. It shows the space monkeys as lost sheep. Alone you see the tragedy. You see a man who needed to hit himself to feel something. In 2026, Fight Club remains essential because its message is more relevant than ever. But only solo viewers understand it. Group viewers become the joke. Do not be the joke. Watch alone. Think alone. Then question everything. Number 1. Inception, 2010. Inception, the king of watch-alone cinema. Christopher Nolan's 2010 mind-bending heist thriller holds an IMDb 8.8 and a spot on the IMDb top list. But here is the controversial truth. Most people did not understand it because they watched it wrong. They saw it in theaters with crowds gasping. They missed the details. The spinning top at the end is not the point. The point is Cobb walking away from the top. He does not care anymore. He sees his children's faces. That is reality to him. Watching this movie alone means you track every totem, every dream level, every kick. The zero-gravity hallway fight becomes a ballet only for you. The Snow Fortress battle feels like a chess match. The city folding over itself happens without someone saying, "Whoa," too loud. Alone, you hear Hans Zimmer's Time swell during the final scene. You see Michael Caine's face at the airport. You notice Cobb's wedding ring, which tells you if he is dreaming or not. That detail changes everything. In 2026, Inception streams in 4K HDR. The visuals demand your full attention. The plot demands your full brain. And the ending demands your full silence. No audience, no commentary, no distractions. Just you and the spinning top. Does it fall? You decide. But decide alone. That is the only way the dream works. Welcome to reality.